talk about our civic awareness project that we designed in Educational Technology Class 5320. This is our homepage. We decided to use Weebly as our main base of operations. This is just a homepage describing that in our project we hope that students will find ways to be more active in their government and to kind of educate them on how their government works. So making the distinction between being a citizen, which is just kind of being a good person, towards being an active citizen in their government is our overarching goal. Our project elements took several forms. The base of everything was our project's web quest. The web quest asked them to imagine if they were a person charged with getting more people out to vote, how would they do it? And they were to first research under one of 4 categories. So why Americans do not vote, the role of each branch of our government, checks and balances for each branch, and how to petition the government. So with each category, students were looking at either a different way the government functions or how to become a better citizen. Once they read, they were to use MindOmo to record all of their information. I left them with a tutorial that explains how to use MindOmo if this was a new thing to them. They were to set up an account. Now we did get permission from parents for students to use their emails in MindOmo, and students that were not allowed were actually partnered with a student that was, so that everybody in the group could work. I did also include a sample from one of the categories from MindOmo, and this was actually what one group was asked to do. They went through and put all 4 categories in. So these are the ones that they were not responsible for, but they were responsible for how each branch of our government functions. So after reading their articles, this is what they ended up doing. So they have all 3 branches and their definition, and then some components of each. When they were finished with the web quest, they were then supposed to go and make what is called, they're supposed to complete the AGO activity. Now this is an activity that we actually ran out of time to do. The project service site ended up having some time constraints that were put on us at the last second. So instead of completing this, we had to go ahead and do a mini lesson in class that really cut to the chase and helped them to make the next component. But I'm going to take it through you anyway. Take you through it anyway. So they were to set the major aims in their project, to set the goals, and to set and to basically specify what pieces they wanted their 4th grade class to learn. That was our service, was helping 4th graders to bridge the gap between just being good people to being good citizens. This is the project, or the AGO check brick that went along with this activity. So it outlined the specific goals, and they could say yes or no. Yes, I can do this. No, I cannot. And then now they had a link to both what we wanted them to use with their group and a sample that shows, once they finish, what should this look like. So I'm going to show you the sample because it shows you everything. So after reading, what do they think the 4th grade needs to know about their government? So I imagined as if I was someone giving an overview. So our government's a democracy, the democracy is unique, and all citizens can vote. And then if I had to boil it down to what they need to know, give them examples and discuss how attitudes towards issues should be heard in society. So in my government, which is a democracy, how do I address these issues? So then they go through and they can set their goals. So you outline the goals that you want and rank them in order of importance. And then the top 3 are going to be the things that you probably have the most time for in your presentation. And then objectives, same thing. What do you want your objectives to be? And then finally boil them down to one specific thing. Now again, this was something we did not have time for, but if given some of the time back for our project, we would have implemented it. So the AGO activity was meant to facilitate our flipbook, or making a flipbook. We used a website called FlipSnack. This helps students to digitally illustrate pieces of their project. So going to flipsnack.com, so it's making a flipbook. This is a sample of a flipbook. We actually could not post any for you to view because when students went in with their email addresses, they also had to put in their names, and we could not find a way to get their names removed for the sake of their privacy. So their flipbook in the end would look something of this nature. They actually used a very simple version. It was so the pages were very simple. They could put pictures in and text, and they all related to the portions of the project that went into their mind demo. And finally, as a culminating element, we had them do a writing assignment. So you're not only learning about being a citizen, you're also acting as one. So they were to compose a formal letter to a congressman on a current event topic of their choice. So they were asking their congressman to stimulate some kind of change. The format went through, okay, we're going to talk about what a business letter is and give them some guidance. So what's the letter supposed to look like? How should it be formatted? And what kinds of things should you think about? Now, when they were to organize their ideas, they were going to use what our school calls as a T-chart. For some reason, this is not showing up, but what you do is you put your topic sentence here. So, for example, I would like the government to present more legislation to create better roads in Corpus Christi. Support for their topic sentence, these are all of the reasons that they have for wanting the legislation, and commentary to back it up. This is kind of why we need it. So, one, we need better roads because there are too many potholes. Commentary, every day I go to school, I at least run into 2 of them, and my mom's car never stays in alignment. Something that is along a 6th grade level that gives them some kind of solid reason for petitioning their government, and giving them a chance to show that, yes, I have learned how to be a good citizen and I can think about this critically. Now, back to the website. Project criteria. This is our team plan. The master plan that we followed all the way through, we had social studies themes. So our main understanding was that we wanted them to have knowledge of government structure and ways to have their voices heard. And really, in the end, they did learn that, okay, just being a citizen is not just being a good person, it's actually finding ways to make the government work for you. We also, in using technology, we wanted them to use 21st century skills and Web 2.0 tools. They did this by using the flipbook. So, and we also have the texts that go along with it. So for government and citizenship, also for language, since they were writing a letter. And this just kind of goes through, what we were looking for: collaboration, presentation, and critical thinking. We're going to use presentations, concept maps, and a formal letter to check for assessment, and also several forms of evaluation. Now, our timetable is on the bottom, so what we plan to do in each task. So some of the tasks kind of ran together. So setting up the project requirements and doing the initial research was kind of step 1/2. They did both of these on the same day. Creating a flip book and the AGO strategy were meant for days 3 and 4. One of the original options was to also have the children do a skit so that they could have a visual representation in the flip book and then have some kind of creative representation that goes along with it, so that it's kind of addressing multiple levels of learning. Unfortunately, we did not have time to do both based on the school schedule that they gave us, or changed that week. So we ended up cutting out the skit, and every single group did a flip book. In the presentation materials, this took place on day 4. Originally, we wanted it to kind of be in small groups, and they go around and present to one another, but it ended up being a class-wide presentation, which ended up working out just fine. The 4th graders were very engaged, and our students were very happy to present. We also had a reflection activity planned. This also did not get to take place because of the time constraints put on us by the school. We did have a debriefing session after the presentations were presented. We talked about pros and cons of the presentation, how they liked or disliked using FlipSnack and MyNomo, and just how overall the project-based approach helped them to increase their knowledge. They actually responded very well. They thought FlipSnack was a very valuable tool. It presented things in a new way, and actually they were impressed that the 4th graders were so engaged. Like, there were 5 or 6 6th graders that came out and said they paid way more attention than they would have listening to a PowerPoint presentation given by us, no matter how creative it was. Some cons that they had were that the flipbook took a while. The flipbook we had some problems uploading it with pictures because the school's bandwidth was not enough to support it. Now that's something that we could not foresee, but it's good to know for the future. And finally, the letter writing has taken place on the last. We only had one day to do it. We didn't have days 5 to 6. Again, it was another thing that we couldn't foresee and time constraints that were put on us. Finally, project reflections. Reflections from the site contact. Basically, they liked the fact that we talked about citizenship. However, they did not like how long the project was taking. They were under the impression that it would just take a couple of days, I think, and then it ended up taking us a week. And the way that we had it structured, it would actually have taken us more than a week, as we found out. And once we finished up the elements that we actually could engage the students in, it would have ended up being way longer. So they were looking for something much smaller, more short, quick, and to the point, and something more along the lines of a guest speaker. Now, reflections from us. I have ones from myself. I like the scope of the project. I like the fact that they had to use technology. However, the resistance that we received from the site contact was disheartening a little. We ended up having to cut out a whole lot of the things that we had planned to do because the site had changed the schedule on us at the last minute. It was something that we could not foresee, and we had to basically plan around, and it ended up not necessarily being a project that we had intended. It ended up being good, but it wasn't what we intended. So we recommended, first of all, or I recommended, that future projects need to have some kind of document signed by both parties so that everyone is clear on what the responsibilities are on each side. Secondly, we originally had this set up as a discussion board for students to use rather than a website. It's difficult to share things on the university level when you have it set up as a discussion board because you can't invite everybody in, at least with the one that we had set up. So it's difficult to transfer information.